Okay, so picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, TikTok, Instagram, whatever your poison is,
Mhm.
and you stop dead on a video.
Right.
It's a baby monkey. And we're talking tiny, like maybe 7 months old, wide-eyed, and looking absolutely terrified. But the thing that really grabs you is what he's holding.
The orange ape?
The orange ape, exactly.
Yeah.
He is clinging for dear life to one of those big floppy stuffed orangutans from IKEA,
Hmm.
the jungle skog, I think it's called. And he's not just holding it, he is completely buried in it.
Yeah, it's an image that just instantly short circuits the human brain. I mean, we see that and the immediate reaction is, "Oh, look at the baby with his toy. That is so
All
adorable."
right, you want to like it, you want to share it, maybe go buy the toy yourself. But we pulled the stack of research on this specific video for our deep dive today, and the reality behind that cute image is, well, it's honestly a bit of a nightmare.
It really is. What looks like play to the casual observer is actually a biological crisis. We aren't watching a pet enjoying a gift. We're watching a wild animal trying to prevent his own psychological collapse. Yeah, that monkey's name is Punch, and he isn't hugging that toy because he loves it. He's hugging it because he's literally trying to survive.
So today on the deep dive, we are unpacking the story of Punch. And I have to say, just looking at these sources, this goes way deeper than just a viral animal video. We're going to get into some dark 1950s psychology experiments, the brutal politics of monkey society, and how this one baby macaque accidentally crashed global supply chains.
It really is a perfect storm of biology, psychology, and economics. But I mean, at its core, it's a story about the price of belonging.
Let's start with the protagonist here. Who is Punch, and why is he glued to a polyester orangutan at the Ichikawa City Zoo?
So Punch is a Japanese macaque, and his start in life was pretty catastrophic. His mother abandoned him almost immediately after birth. Now, in the wild, that is usually a death sentence within hours.
But this is a zoo, so I'm assuming the keepers stepped in.
Right, they saved him. They kept him alive, they bottle-fed him, kept him warm, did all the things that a good parent does on paper. But for a macaque, survival isn't just about calories and heat. There is a specific biological requirement that humans have a very hard time replicating.
You're talking about the clinging, right?
I am, yeah. If you look at macaques in the wild, the infant is physically fused to the mother. We aren't talking about being held for a few hours a day. We are talking about 24/7 contact. They sleep clinging. They travel clinging.
So there's no, like, putting the baby down for a nap in the macaque world?
Not ever. And we need to get specific about why, because it's not just about safety from predators. That constant tactile sensation, the feeling of fur, the movement of the mother's body. It provides what biologists call vestibular stimulation.
Vestibular stimulation. Break that down for us. What does that actually mean for the monkey?
It's the sensory system that provides the leading contribution to the sense of balance and spatial orientation. When a baby monkey clings to a moving mother, that motion is actually wiring the infant's brain. Yeah, it regulates their heart rate, their body temperature, and most importantly, it stimulates the release of oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
Exactly. Without that constant physical feedback loop, the brain simply doesn't develop the neural pathways for social interaction. It just doesn't learn how to be a monkey.
So when Punch was abandoned, even though he was being fed, his brain was effectively starving for that contact.
He was facing total developmental failure. The keepers noticed he was starting to show signs of distress, rocking back and forth, freezing up. He needed a surrogate mother immediately.
And since they couldn't exactly give him a real monkey mother, they gave him the next best thing.
The DJ Ungleskog.
Why that specific toy, though? I mean, IKEA makes a lot of stuffed animals. Why the orangutan?
It's actually a brilliant choice by the keepers when you look at it. It has these long, floppy arms that can wrap around the infant, simulating that embrace. The texture is soft, similar to fur. To Punch, that plushie become a life raft. When he's holding it, his cortisol levels drop. He can finally breathe.
It's an anchor for him.
It is, but... And this is where we have to pivot to the darker side of the science, that anchor is also a trap.
A trap. How can a stuffed animal be a trap?
Because while it provides comfort, it provides absolutely zero feedback. And to understand why it's a disaster, we have to talk about Harry Harlow.
Oh, boy. I remember this from Psych 101, the wire mother experiments.
It's one of the most famous and, frankly, most disturbing experiments in the history of psychology. Back in the 1950s, Harry Harlow wanted to challenge the idea that babies only love their mothers because of food.
The cupboard love theory.
Oh, right.
Like, I love you because you give me milk.
Right. So Harlow took baby rhesus monkeys and gave them 2 artificial mothers. One was made of cold, hard wire mesh, but it had a bottle of milk attached.
Okay.
And the other was made of soft terry cloth, but it had no food at all.
So the choice was basically starve with comfort or eat in the cold.
And the results were definitive. The babies would run to the wire mother, gulp down the milk as fast as they physically could, we're talking seconds, and then sprint back to the cloth mother and cling to her for 17, 18 hours a day.
Which proved that contact comfort is a survival need.
Yeah.
It's just as important as food.
Exactly. And that's usually where the textbook summary ends. We say, look, monkeys need hugs, and we move on. But Harlow didn't stop there. He kept those monkeys. He watched them grow up. And this is the part that directly impacts Punch.
What happened to them?
They were socially destroyed. They survived childhood, yes. But when they were introduced to other monkeys later in life, they were absolutely terrified. They didn't know how to play. They didn't know how to mate. They would just cower in the corner.
Well, why, though? They had the comfort. They had the cloth mother.
They had comfort, but they didn't have reciprocity. And this is the key insight for our deep dive today. Our relationship is a two-way street. A real mother doesn't just sit there. She pushes back. She grooms you. If you bite her too hard, she scolds you. If you wiggle too much, she adjusts you.
So the interaction is what actually teaches the baby the rules.
Precisely. The cloth mother was passive. She never reacted. So the babies never learned that their actions had consequences. They never learned social cause and effect. They grew up expecting the world to be soft and static, and the real world is sharp and dynamic.
And that is exactly the situation with Punch and the IKEA orangutan. The toy is safe, it's soft, but it's dead. It can't teach him how to be a macaque.
It's a developmental dead end. If he stays with the plushie, he stays a baby forever. He never becomes a functioning member of the troupe.
Which brings us to the viral part of the story. The zoo knew this right. They knew they couldn't keep him in the nursery forever.
They did. At 7 months old, they made the call. It was time for Punch to graduate to the main enclosure. They call it Monkey Mountain.
Monkey Mountain. It sounds like a Mario Kart track, but looking at the footage, it looks more like a prison yard.
It's a very intense environment. It's a complex society of dozens of macaques with a very strict, very brutal hierarchy.
And they just dropped him in.
They put him in. And they let him keep the toy, which was a controversial decision in itself. And the footage that came out of those first few weeks, it's really hard to watch.
I've seen it. You see this tiny little guy clutching his orange bear, and he's just getting, dragged by the tail, shoved off rocks, his dad.
It looks like abuse.
It looks exactly like bullying. And the internet went absolutely ferocious over this. People were leaving comments like, why are the keepers filming this? Help him. Take him back inside. This is cruelty.
It's a very human reaction. Our instinct is to protect the vulnerable. But the zoo released a statement explaining their philosophy, and it's actually a fascinating look at primate biology. They basically said, if we save him, we doom him.
Unpack that for us. Because to the average person, letting a baby get dragged by its tail feels like the absolute opposite of care.
You have to understand macaque society. It runs on dominance and submission. You aren't born knowing your place. You have to be put in your place. When an older female shoves Punch or drags him, she isn't just being mean. She is communicating. She's saying, I am above you. You move when I move. You wait until I eat.
So the violence is the language.
The violence is the education. It's a master class in social coding. If the keepers stepped in every time Punch looked scared, the other monkeys wouldn't see Punch as a member of the troupe. They would see him as a pet, a foreign object protected by the humans.
And if he's a pet, he's an outcast.
He would be a permanent pariah. He would never be groomed, never be accepted, never be allowed to mate. To belong, he has to face the rejection. He has to take the hits.
That is a heavy concept. You have to be rejected to eventually be accepted.
It's the paradox of socialization. And this is where we see the cloth mother dynamic shift. This is the really interesting part. The IKEA toy stops being a trap and starts being a bridge. The researchers watching Punch started noticing a pattern, a loop. Punch would go out into the fray, try to get near another monkey. He'd get snapped at, maybe get his hair pulled, he'd get overwhelmed.
The panic sets in.
Right. But instead of freezing up, which is what Harlow monkeys did, Punch runs back to the DJ Gundelskog. He dives into the orange fur.
He recharges.
He regulates his nervous system. He calms down. And then, and this is the resilience part, he goes back out.
He tries again.
That is the key. The toy gives him a secure base. In child psychology, we talk about this with human toddlers. A kid can explore a playground as long as they know their parent is sitting on the bench. They run out, get scared, run back to the knee, get a hug, and run out again.
So the IKEA orangutan is the bench.
Exactly. Without the toy, the world of Monkey Mountain is just too scary to face. He'd just hide. But with the toy, he has a retreat. He can endure the lessons because he has a place to recover from them.
It's a psychological pit stop. That's actually incredible. He's hacking the system.
He really is. He's using the artificial comfort to build real-world resilience.
If you're finding this valuable, take a moment to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Because before we find out if this strategy actually worked and there was a major update, we have to take a detour into the weirdest side effect of this story. We have to talk about the economy.
The punch effect.
This monkey didn't just go viral. He literally moved markets.
It is wild. As these videos of Punch clinging to the DJ Ungelskog started circulating, IKEA started noticing something strange. The toy started selling out.
Not just in Japan, right?
No, global. Japan, South Korea, parts of the US, it became a scavenger hunt. People were reselling these stuffed apes on eBay for double, triple the price.
Why? I mean, I get that he's cute, but why does a guy in Ohio need the exact same stuffed animal as a Japanese macaque?
I think it goes back to what we're saying about Harlow. We like to think we are these sophisticated digital creatures, but we have primate brains too. When we see Punch clinging to that toy, that raw, desperate need for something soft to hold on to, it resonates on a very visceral level.
It triggers our own need for contact comfort.
Exactly. We live in a very isolated, very digital world. I think a lot of people watched that video and subconsciously thought, man, I could really use a hug from a giant orange bear right now. He isn't selling a lifestyle. He's demonstrating a biological need.
And IKEA Japan actually got involved, didn't they? They didn't just sit back and count the money.
No, they did something really sweet, actually. They realized that Punch was dragging this poor toy through the mud, the rain, and, well, the monkey droppings. It was getting destroyed. So IKEA donated a protection squad.
A protection squad.
They sent a shipment of replacement orangutans to the zoo, so now when one gets too gross or torn up, he has a backup ready to go.
That is fantastic. The whole world is facing a shortage, but Punch is fully stockpiled.
He's totally cornered the market.
Okay, so he has the supplies, he has the strategy. But the big question remains, is it working? Is the masterclass of bullying actually teaching him anything, or is he just going to be a weirdo with a toy collection?
This is where we get to the turning point. And honestly, looking at the recent reports, it's a huge relief.
Give us the good news.
We are finally seeing grooming.
Okay, for those who don't spend their weekends reading primatology journals, why is grooming the smoking gun here?
Grooming is everything. In primate society, it's not just about hygiene or picking off fleas. It's the absolute currency of social bonding. When two monkeys groom, it releases endorphins in both of them. It lowers heart rates, it builds alliances.
So if someone is grooming you, they aren't just tolerating you, they're accepting you.
Exactly. It's a contract of non-aggression and support. And recently, Punch has been spotted being groomed by other monkeys in the troop.
That's huge.
And here is the detail that really matters. In the photos where he is being groomed, he isn't holding the toy.
He put it down.
He left it a few meters away.
Wow. That feels like the end of a movie, like the kid finally putting away the security blanket.
It really does. He's making a calculation. The plushie offers safety, but it's a lonely safety. The other monkeys offer danger, but they also offer a future. And he's choosing the future.
Only another monkey can offer a future. That's a pretty profound takeaway from a story about a stuffed animal.
It is. And the zoo actually released a statement to the fans who were still worried about him. They said, don't feel sorry for him, support his effort.
I love that distinction. Don't pity the struggle, respect the hustle.
Exactly. If we save him from the struggle, we rob him of the victory. He needs to earn his place in the troop, and he is doing the hard work to make that happen.
So bringing this back to us humans.
Yeah.
What do you think we take away from this? Besides the fact that I now really want to buy a DJ Ungelskog.
I think it forces us to look at that trade-off between safety and belonging. Punch had a choice. He could have stayed in the corner with his soft, safe orangutan. No one would have heard him there, but he would have been totally alone.
To belong, he had to be willing to get hurt.
He had to step into the mess to risk the rejection.
I think that's something we all struggle with. We all have our safety blankets, our comfort zones, our screens, our little bubbles where we feel safe. But you can't build a life in a bubble.
You can't. Real life, real connection is reciprocal. It pushes back. It's messy. And sometimes it hurts, just like Monkey Mountain. But that's the price of admission.
Punch is proving that the struggle is worth it. And it looks like he's finally got his ticket stamped.
He's hanging in there.
Well, I, for one, am rooting for him. Hashtag hang in there, Punch.
Absolutely.
That is going to do it for this deep dive. It's amazing how much you can learn from one little guy and a stuffed toy. From 1950s psychology to modern supply chains, it's all connected.
It always is.
Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more deep and thought-provoking content.